Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we finish up this hellish month here on the Retro Blood, talking all these 1980s horror movies with the title Hell in them. It's been like a, what they call a smorgasbord of all kinds of different themes that we've been talking about this month. It's really fun. But up next, if you all like zombie movies with stock footage of African jungles in it, if you all like Party City zombie makeup, if you all like Goblin taking the score from ZOMBI and Day of the Dead and putting it on this movie for some reason, and if you like this Eagles group going on a secret mission to do something while there's two photography people there doing something and then they get eaten at the end, then this is a review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is talking all about Hell of the Living Dead, aka Virus. Alison, James Kline, what's happening, Alison? Yeah. How is your isolated jungle land of voodoo magic trip going? It's going good?
So far, good. So good. I mean, I think, in my opinion, this is the best of the movies we've done this month. I actually really like this, but I'm not really sure why. Yeah, I cannot tell you why I liked it, but I did. One of the criteria that I have for deciding if something is good or not, like a movie or a TV show, is if it keeps me wanting to watch it. So, like, a TV show is good if it makes me want to watch the next episode. And a movie is good if it makes me want to keep watching it. And this movie made me want to keep watching it, but I don't really know why. I don't know. I just liked it. For some reason, I just liked it. But like, I think that your comment about the Party City zombie makeup was a little bit generous.
Well, I know what they were getting
for the most part, what signified a zombie in this movie was they just painted their faces green.
Yeah. Well, okay, hold
Basically.
on. So I was making that joke because it's funny nowadays. But I will give the movie a little credit. All right. I ain't a total hater. All right. But I'll give the movie a little credit. This movie was like, made in like the 70s and it was released in the 1980s. You know what I mean? The release date we're going to talk about is the U.S. release date, which is 84.
Right.
But this movie did come out, I believe it was like in Spain or something like that, like 1980. It came out, around Italy.
Yeah.
So, and when we did the, last year, when we did the zombie month last year in August, all right, hint, for coming up this year.
Hint.
When we did the Lights Out, when we did, George A. Romero's, Day of the Dead, all right?
Not Day of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, sorry. Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
When we did that, remember all his zombies were like, Party City purple zombies in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this one, most of them were like that. They had like that, painting their faces, purple or whatever. But this one did have a couple two faces in there. You know what I mean? Where, oh yeah, so we're going to Party City your face up here, but then we'll give you the real stuff on this face. I was like, okay. The thing that got me though, all right, wasn't the Party City zombies. All right, it wasn't the dubbing, even though the dubbing, holy shit. Okay, it was the it was the constant stock footage of like African tribes that we just randomly put in the film, and it was the stock footage of random like of flamingos.
Not well, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the herons that were flying.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, they were herons.
Yeah, they were
flamingos.
No, they're not flamingos. They're either cranes or herons. But the thing is, like, I liked how they made them look or appear to be menacing, like they were like a dangerous bird that was going to attack them, but they don't attack people at all. But yeah, so basically, and we'll talk about this in the Who Booked This Shit, but most of the stock footage came from one source.
The jungle.
Which we'll talk about. which we'll talk about when we talk about who booked the shit. I'll talk about all that. But yeah, he apparently they were going to make this movie, and then they go to, because Bruno Mattei is Italian. So, but they go to Spain to make this movie, and apparently when they got there, they found out they didn't have any money at all.
Yeah.
So they just rewrote the script for what they could afford to do, and then used stock footage. And boy, yeah, I don't know, a lot of the movie stock footage, but I mean, it fits in a way. You know, I mean, it does make the story go forward.
The story, you
Goblin.
Say. I can't wait to actually get upon the actual story of this.
The story.
Okay, the only way I will see this movie have a story is if we set this movie in the Zombie storyline. Because if you remember from last year, Zombie 4 and 5, I just one of those, brought up the voodoo angle. Remember?
Yeah.
All the viruses from voodoo magic. Because that voodoo guy, you know, when those Americans came in there and killed the voodoo guy's wife. So the voodoo guy got all pissed off, or is it vice versa? Some voodoo guy got pissed off and cursed the land. All right. And I was watching this shit and I was like, oh shit. They're doing the voodoo angle again. It's back. But technically, I think this is made before that, though. Like, this movie was made before, definitely before Zombie 4, right? Or maybe not, because didn't they have, like, weird timelines with those movies?
Yeah, because none of those movies are supposed to be sequels.
Yeah, like Zombie 5 is not really
kind of made.
It was, like, made before Zombie 2 and shit like that.
Yeah, so I did not realize this movie was actually made years before it came out. So that's new information for me. But Bruno Mattei, the guy who directed this, also directed Zombie 3, which we did on the show a year ago.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. It all makes sense.
But he made Zombie 3 obviously after this. This was basically So this was obviously heavily influenced by Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Zombie, as we called it. Or as they called it in Italy. And that was, 78?
Yeah.
So it couldn't have been made before 78.
Let's say it was made
this was quickly, yes. This was to me, this was like, I like that movie. Let's make something just like it.
Yeah.
I mean, even the soldiers' outfits looked like the soldiers from Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's part of the. To me though, it's like this movie is more part of the Zombie timeline because you know the Dawn of the Dead timeline is a little different. George A. Romero's vision when he takes his series to like a different path, alternative universe. Yeah. But if I was going to put Hell of the Living Dead in one of those timelines, you know, obviously, you know, Dawn of the Dead and Zombie, they're like the same movie. You know, well, it's kind of. Because remember, Zombie 1 for us was Zombie 2 for Italy. So,
right.
But I would have put this movie more into like the Zombie. And I say Zombie because they don't keep the E.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pronounced zombie, but it's like an in joke for us. So
yeah, I like saying zombie.
All our new listeners don't think we're stupid.
Yeah, we're not stupid.
We just say zombie.
We're just saying zombie because that's the way he spelled it. All right,
that's the way it's spelled.
Because we're from America, brother. All right.
Yep.
Red, white, and blue. All right. So, but yeah,
we're lucky we can pronounce anything. Anyway,
exactly. All right. Like we say, Italian. Okay.
Italian.
So, like, what we're trying to say is, I think this movie would. If we're gonna place it in a timeline, it's gonna be the zombie timelines, not the Dawn of the Dead timelines. And I thought this one was good for those timelines because they brought back the voodoo angle, okay? And it had a bunch of random soldiers running around with guns, just like Zombie 4 and 5. I mean, it basically was.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. So, you're right.
But this one, it has a couple release dates. November of 1980. That's when it got released in Spain. And then it got released in Italy, 1981. And then the one that we're going to talk about is when it got released in the good old USA of 1984 after they butchered it with the dubbing. Boy, oh boy. Wait till we get to what these people were talking about. That was some shit.
Yeah, not the best dubbing not the best dubbing for sure.
Before we get into the history though, I do want to talk about dubbing. Dubbing in America, I don't think they really took it serious until like Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean? Or like maybe like a very famous, maybe the some karate movies and stuff. But it seemed like most of the dubbing that got done in the 80s, like they just find some random people off the streets, like, hey, can you read this line and just like say a bunch of shit and try to be funny when you don't need to be funny?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, that's definitely true. Like, like you're talking about the kung fu movies, like the 70s kung fu movies. Like there's actually a really good documentary about that. And like a lot of those movies were dubbed by like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Like they would just go in and dub it. But like one of the things too, though, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but the way Italian movies are made is they're actually shot silent. So like the more known movies, like when we would talk about a Dario Argento movie that had like John Saxon in it, acting with a bunch of Italian actors. So John Saxon didn't speak Italian on the set. He just read his lines in English, and everybody spoke whatever language they were comfortable speaking. So the Italians spoke Italian, the Germans spoke German, and the Americans spoke English. And then they would go in and dub all of it over. So dubbing Italian movies for an American audience was common at this time. I just feel like with this movie, they just didn't spend a lot of time doing it. They're just like, let's get this shit done as quick as we can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting to see like the progression of, like American companies taking foreign made work and actually putting some very like high dubbing into it. Like, some high profile actors into like the dubbing. Because, before, like you were saying, like we would get something like, like Zombies turned over here. Like nowadays, like I feel like they would have like a confident horror movie cast that can actually like dub what the original movie was trying to, show us,
Right.
Compared to back then.
Don't actually do acting.
Yeah, exactly. Not just sound like, oh, we're going to make a bunch of jokes. You know what I mean? And we're going to have the same monotone through all the scenes and stuff. But
they also respect this kind of stuff now that when they didn't back then. Back then, it was just a cheap thing they could buy that could make them a little bit of money.
Yes. Not all the dubbing was bad. Like I think a lot of the only one I could see that I liked the dubbing of was the Dario Argento films, but I think he actually did a lot of English in his too. Like he did like both at the same time. That's why.
Yeah, and he also he definitely made his movies with a foreign audience in mind.
Yeah.
So I think that he wanted, after Suspiria got big, he wanted to do, he kept thinking, okay, I can get big in America. So he kept thinking, because so he would spend money, and he had money compared to like the people who made this movie. Yeah. So he had the money to, go in and make a good dub. And I think the Argento dubs are good. I mean, that's how I've seen most of these movies. So that's just what they're like to me. Like I've almost never seen a subtitle. I think the only Argento or Italian movie that I have that's subbed is Deep Red. I think that's the only one I have that's subbed, which I think we did on the show, but I can't remember. Anyway, I think we did it during Argento month. So this weird dubbing is just kind of what this is like to me. It's the stock footage that gets it though. that was amazing.
Yeah, buddy.
This movie.
We're gonna add that in there for the voodoo vibe, the tribal, voodoo, toxic, factory vibe. We're gonna be talking about here.
Yeah,
soon.
And most of it was from New Guinea, which is an island off the kind of near Australia.
Oh, fancy. Well, we'll be talking about New Guinea here in a second, but let's first talk about what is going on in the world of pro wrestling and the metal music. The reason we do this on the podcast is because, kind of like Hell of the Living Dead. You know what I mean? We don't only have a factory, all right? But we also have deadly experimental gas in this factory that we are using for our purpose. We're telling the population to help out underdeveloped countries to be more developed, but we're secretly trying to kill them off. That's what we're doing when we're talking about pro wrestling and metal on this show as well.
Okay.
I was just trying to make it make sense, but yeah, it kind of worked.
I got you.
The reason we talk about it because we like it. That's why.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the wrestling first. So this movie came out in America, supposedly, January 20th, 1984. So we're about 4 years behind when it originally aired in Spain and Italian. But we got it. We finally got it at J. Allison's Rent-A-Center. And we rented this movie for about, I would say 50 cents, maybe?
Probably. Or $1.
Yeah, maybe $1.
50 cents or $1.
It is. It's hot off the shelves. So maybe 55 cents, and we got a cola with it. All right, but
yeah,
but not.
I was gonna say, I remember when this movie came out on VHS, or when my video store got it. It had this really cool, embossed cover, where the zombies stuck out on the cover.
Oh,
it would look really cool. And I believe it made a noise when they had a button that you could press and it made a noise.
Okay, so it's $1.25 then.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive.
Because of the box.
Was really expensive. Yeah.
So not only do we have to rent and import this movie, but we also have to find a tape from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Tape traders.
Because on this date, January 20th, 1984, New Japan Pro Wrestling was having their New Year Golden Series. All right. Which I'm not when it comes to 80s New Japan, we don't really talk about it too much. So I'm not so familiar with it. But I'm guessing this is probably like their New Year's Dash. That's what I'm guessing. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think you're probably right.
So this, because it did draw 3,500 fans, okay, to the, I hope I don't fuck this up, the Yanagawa Civic Gymnasium, all right?
Yeah, sounds great.
And in the main event, all right, which is supposed to be like one of the wildest bouts, all right, a lot of wrestling fans saw during the 1984, it was Antonio Inoki and Tetsu Fujinami battled to a no contest against Bad News Allen, who Abdullah the Butcher attacked before the match, and Rusher Kimura, which I'm not sure who Rusher Kimura is, who used a pipe to bloody Inoki. When Inoki is blinded by the blood in his eyes, he starts punching partner Fujinami, and then during this, sensing an opening, Ricky Choshu's Ishin Ganden group hits the ring to attack both Inoki and Fujinami. So, Ricky Choshu's, he had that really cool group. I remember his group though. The Ishin Gundam, that was kind of like that was like the New Japan's version of the Akuta. You know what I mean? That was like the crazy group that everybody feared in Japan at this time. So basically, this match was just a something rare for New Japan, where a lot of interference, and they're basically setting up a huge angle for a couple matches here. They actually were setting up. They're setting up Inoki versus Fujinami because Inoki accidentally hit Fujinami when he was blinded, and they're setting up Antonio Inoki for Ricky Choshu's group as well too. So, kind of a big angle happening around this time. So that'd be kind of cool to see.
That would have been really cool to see. This actually, I just looked the card up. This show was actually really good because right before this, you had Hulk Hogan and Iron Mike Sharp, who also took on Ishin Gundam, which was that group was Choshu and Yatsu. And then earlier in the night, other members of Ishin Gundam took on Bret Hart and Black Tiger. So that would have been a really good show to see.
Yeah, it'd been really fun.
I wonder if this is on New Japan World. I might try to look this up because it sounds like it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I really like. I wish I had a little bit more time to actually watch the angle, because I know you have New Japan World, but I don't, so I would have to search on online. But if you do find that, like, let me know. Like, I would like to watch that finishing angle because it seems pretty interesting. Like, it seems like a wild, like, just like, because, you know, most of the time when you see like Inoki or Fujinami, like, that's like mat-based wrestling, you know, a lot of holds, a lot of mat-based, a lot of, you know, like a lot of like Zack Sabre Jr. stuff, like Shibata style wrestling.
Yeah.
But if you have all these wild guys coming in there and you have Inoki bloodied and stuff and punching people and just wildness happening, you have a Dula the Butcher walking out for some, you know, attacking people. Like, you don't really see that a lot in Japan. So that sounds like a pretty fun, little fun piece of business there. I would like to check that out.
Yeah, it does. I'd always heard, and like you had said, we don't talk about 80s New Japan a lot because like really like 90s New Japan is probably where we started. But everyone, like all the old timers, if you will, say that 1980s New Japan was the best wrestling in the world.
Yeah.
At the time. So, you know, so I would like to check some of that out because I've never, you know, Choshu is a wrestler that was kind of before my time. Like I've never, I mean, I've seen him wrestle, but not a whole lot.
Isn't he the one that they have a statue for?
Yeah.
Like he's like a statue, and he's like suplexing some like a car or something like that, right?
I don't know if it's a car, but yeah, there is a statue of Riki Choshu in Japan. He was really, really famous. I mean, probably next to Inoki, probably the most famous, you know, Japanese wrestler. Although he was actually Korean, but yeah, he was. He's probably like he's definitely in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to research some of that too. If I find this angle on the YouTube, I'll post it on our Facebook page for everybody to watch.
Cool.
But you know, and if you find it on New Japan, let me know too, because I would like to watch it too. But you know, like I said, like it's kind of a cool thing to see like a big angle like this like forming in New Japan at this time. Like, you know, when I think of New Japan, you know, they have the format nowadays with them, or you know, ever since I've been watching, is you unless it was like the foreign like Bullet Club interfering in matches, you would mostly do your angles like after the match is already won and fought. You would have somebody come out and challenge you, or you would do some sort of backstage brawl at the press conference. That's the only time I see them really do like angles, like big angles. But it's very interesting to see this one happen where they're just like all chaos, all in the ring at the like. It seems like the match almost didn't even get started. So it's very, very interesting. Speaking of, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, the show is on New Japan World, by the way.
Yeah, but I might have to watch that one.
Well, that ending is, or part of it is, at least. We'll say that.
Okay.
I haven't checked out to see what's on there, but part of it's on there for sure.
Well, we'll do some research on that. Like I said, we find it, we'll post on the Facebook.
Sure.
So the metal music, it's kind of be like a semi-repeat from last week.
Okay.
Because like I was trying to find something new. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to keep talking about the same bands all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, it seems like when you research, hey, find me some 1980s thrash bands. Like, oh, well, have you listened to Metallica before? I was like, well, fuck, of course I have. Like, give me some underground
of course
shit.
I have.
Okay? So, but I had to talk about this one because Metallica, we're talking about them again. They actually released a single off their debut album on this particular day, January 20th, 1984. Okay? This was the last single that they released from their album Kill 'Em All, and that is the single Jump in the Fire.
Oh, yeah. No. What a great song.
Yep. So, you know, at first I was going to be like, maybe I could find something else because we already talked about Metallica, but I was like, you know what, this is just too good. Like, they released it on the actual day that the Hell of the Living Dead came out. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
You can go to the local J. Allison's Rent Center, pick yourself up a $1.25 hologrammed Hell of the Living Dead cassette tape to see some titties for a second, and then you'll see some tribal titties in there too. And then you know what? Then you can just jump into that fire, brother. Listen to some Metallica on your way home. You know? Oh, sounds pretty fun.
Absolutely.
And
Can't
you know,
beat that.
This is obviously Kill 'Em All was probably like the, it's kind of like the, I always like how would you explain the Kill 'Em All for the Metallica? That would be kind of like their early days. You know what I mean? Like the more like youthful thrasher days.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely the. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like pre-thrash, really. Like thrash didn't exist when Kill 'Em All came out. They kind of helped invent it. It was like, they're like a real Motorhead influenced band at this time. Yeah. It's just faster.
Because then, like, when they go later on with like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, you get a little bit more.
Yeah.
You just get a little bit more studio, like a little studio more money with it, So, yeah, but very interesting. Well, I'll play on the Facebook too. I'll put a Jump in the Fire video or something for everybody to check out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool stuff over here. But let's get into who booked this shit, brother, because there's a lot to talk about.
I love this story.
When it comes to Hell of the Living Dead, a.k.a. Virus. It actually has some other titles, too. Let me see what else it was released under. Okay. So it was Virus, Night of the Zombies, and Zombie Creeping Flesh. This sounds like a metal band, bro. Zombie Creeping Flesh.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like metal sounding things that could be good metal bands in this movie. We'll point them out as we go. But yeah, Zombie Creeping Flesh would be a great metal band name.
So this is directed by our boy Bruno. All right, Mattei? Did I say that right?
Mattei. Bruno Mattei, yeah.
Mattei. And, he's done, like you said, he did the Zombie 3. All right?
Yeah.
And I believe, let's see. All right, he did a couple other stuff. He did in the 80s. He did a Rat, Night of Terror. Okay.
Yeah, which we're gonna do in a show eventually.
Women's Prison Massacre. Hellhole has a run for its money.
He did a couple of women in prison movies. He did Violence in a Women's Prison. He made this movie called Scalps that's really good. It's like a spaghetti western. But yeah. He's made some good movies. He's a good filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I thought some of the stuff he did on here was pretty cool. Obviously he would go back in the 2000s to do some more. He did Island of the Living Dead and Zombies: The Beginning, supposedly. So yeah, I mean, obviously, pretty good old. I think you might have liked this movie better than me. All right.
Okay.
I think the only thing that was taking me out of it was like I said, like the stock footage stuff. I was like, oh man, this is just like random. There is a one good stock footage thing I like, which I'll talk about that when we see the Voodoo Islanders headgear, that little like tribal headgear. Like you see it very well done in the stock footage, and then like this guy pops out with like this like obviously like not well made or custom made, just like something you would make out of starch, and he puts it on the girl's head. All right, like we'll get there.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Right. I mean, I think it's a little better than you're making it sound. But yes, I follow what you're saying.
And by the way, everybody, if you haven't watched the movie, okay, at least go see that scene because it's fucking hilarious.
It's great, yeah.
But I'll tell you all about that scene when we get there, because it's pretty funny. All right, but let's get a little bit into this. So basically, Bruno, he noted that the production began as a specific request from the producer, and our boy, the producer on this one was let's see, where is he? Well, it's a screenplay by Claudio. Was it Fragasso?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a couple of things. He would go on to write and direct his own films in the 1980s, including Monster Dog with rock musician Alice Cooper and After Death. And he also directed Troll 2. Okay.
Yes, the classic.
Yes.
Monster Dog is a good movie. We need to do that on the show at some point.
Yeah, but Claudio, he met Bruno around like 1980, so they probably met around this time, and they had like a 10-year friendship. So they would always like kind of work back and forth with each other. So basically, I'll have you talk about what you know, Alison. But basically, this movie was obviously inspired by Dawn of the Dead. But Bruno, he said he wanted to make a lighter tone for the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like what do you mean? More jokes? I guess
I think you wanted to be a little bit funnier.
Well, the only character I guess that was funnier, all right, was the one of the Eagles. What was his name? Sandor or something?
I think so. Sandor.
Yeah, you know the guy who. Okay, first of all,
Xantoro.
That's what it was. Xantoro.
Yeah.
All right, he was part of the. Listen, they could have called themselves something different in Spain or Italy, but they called them here the Eagles. Okay. Yeah. So Xantoro was the Michael McDowell looking motherfucker. You know what I mean? Who was like, he was the one I was trying to teach everybody how to shoot him in the head. All right.
Yes. Exactly.
Some sort of gangster rapper, shoot him in the head. All right. So, I guess that guy was kind of a lighter tone because all the shit he was doing. But this was also the film was Bruno's first to be made under the name Vincent Dawn. All right. A request made specifically by the film's Spanish production side. So I guess Bruno had a writer director gimmick of Vincent Dawn when he made films. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really strange because they did not want him. They did not want an Italian name on the movie. And a lot of Italian directors, when they would release a movie here, they would change their name to something American sounding. So that was not uncommon for them. But I don't know. We think that's weird now, but I guess back then, they didn't want people to think it's a foreign movie when it came out in Spain. So it was directed by Vincent Dawn, which doesn't sound made up at all. That sounds like a totally natural name.
Yeah. Vincent Dawn, brother. Sounds poetic. There you go. So Claudio, he said he wrote Hell of the Living Dead, all right, with Rosala. Apparently, it was like a frequent scripter that he wrote with. And he said at the time, I guess he felt like there has been like several zombie films that were being made. Because, like we were saying earlier, this one came out in the 80s, so probably right after Night of the Living Dead. You know what I mean? Then we had like Dawn of the Dead. Right. But there was also a bunch of other ones probably in there too. Like very lesser well-known ones and stuff. And of course we have all the zombie ones. Like
ZOMBI had already come. Yeah, ZOMBI had already come out by then.
So a bunch of stuff. So he wanted to make his film a little different. Okay. So he said after watching Dawn of the Dead, he suggested that the film would be like more like Soylent Green. All right? Yeah. Which is
which I can see that.
So I know the band Soylent Green, but I don't remember seeing the movie.
Great band.
Is the movie? Is it more like in the jungle?
No.
Okay. I'd never seen Soylent Green.
Soylent Green is about. It takes place like in the future. Well, the future for that time, and all these people live in like these, basically like this rundown city. And the government supplies all their food, and the food they eat is they give them this food they call Soylent Green, and they eat the food, but they don't really have any freedoms, and then the main character decides he's going to escape from all of it, and he kind of starts investigating what Soylent Green is, and should we spoil the ending of Soylent Green for the people or no?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they came on here to listen to Hell of the Living Dead. Now they're going to have a spoiler.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Soylent Green, stop now and watch that movie because it's a classic with Charlton Heston. But anyway, so he finds out at the end that I can't believe you haven't seen this scene, but he finds out at the end that when people get old and die, they kind of crush up their bodies, and that's what they make Soylent Green out of. So all the people are eating like the dead people.
Oh, okay.
And there's like a famous scene at the end of it where Charlton Heston's screaming, "Soylent Green is people!" And I can't really believe you haven't seen that scene, at least. But that's a pretty famous scene from movies. But I can see how like that. It's similar in that, there's this like world falling apart, and they're being chased around by these people, and that's kind of what happens in Soylent Green. He's trying to get away from these people trying to catch him, where the zombies are chasing all the people. When they get to New Guinea, they're being chased by zombies. So it's similar to that.
Yeah. So he also wanted to make it kind of like an undead epic. He wanted to make it kind of like an Apocalypse Now style. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like with all the military guys being out on their own and not having any supervision or anything. I can kind of see that too.
So I like this story because it always tickles me. So among the cast was the girl who played Leah? Leah? Yes, Leah.
Leah, yeah.
Margaret Newton. All right, so Newton recalled that she felt a great sense of responsibility at the time, playing the film's protagonist. Oh, yes. You're the the only white female on a random safari in this deadly jungle. All right, very interesting. So Newton felt nervous in the scene involving nudity in front of the indigenous people. All right. Mm-hmm. She asked that everyone be removed from the set, with only certain cast and crew remaining. The scene was shot in one day, brother. So the scene, Well, go ahead.
Well, so let's not spoil that. That's going to be great when we get there.
Exactly.
Because I was just totally astounded when that when that scene happened in the movie. I was like, you have to be fucking kidding me. But anyway, we'll talk about it when we get there. So let's not spoil that. That's going to be great when we get there in context of the movie.
Yeah, it was kind of like
I guess she. I'm just astounded that there were any indigenous people in this movie. Like they shot this movie in Spain, and every like indigenous person in this movie would have been from stock footage. So I'm not sure what the fuck she's talking about. But yeah, they shot the.
Or maybe they imported.
I'm guessing she's. Maybe they did. I guess she's talking about like the black people that she had to talk to in that one scene where the guy brings out the head. But I don't know. It's pretty wild though. This whole movie is just fucking nuts. Yeah, but yeah, it was fantastic.
So this movie was shot in 5 weeks. All right. Yep. And like we were saying before, I can't believe it took
that long.
I know, me too. Well, we got hair and makeup and stuff. That Party City makeup, bro, it dries up quick. All right. So the film includes stock footage, like we've been saying, to suggest that the film was set in New Guinea?
New Guinea, yeah.
So Claudio stated that when the crew arrived in, Barcelona to shoot the film, they found that they had no money and had to improvise and rewrite the previous script. All right. The production... go ahead.
I was going to say, that's amazing. Like, how can you have a professional production and they go to location and find out they don't have any money?
Well, we
didn't actually give you any money.
Yeah. So they get there, all right, and they think they have a certain budget, and they're like, well, shit. Well, fuck. Maybe we should have done that. Maybe we shouldn't have done that cocaine before we got here.
Right. Now we have no budget.
Now we have no budget. It doesn't even say why. Like, what? Like, why they didn't have any money. So it's very interesting. So they had to improvise and rewrite the previous script. The production had this footage from the beginning of shooting the film and had rebuilt some of the locations from the stock footage in Spain, where the film was shot. Claudio commented on the use of stock footage in the film, as producers wanted to reuse footage they had, reuse footage that they had, which led to Mattei adding footage of the documentary No way. So the footage that we saw on here was from New Guinea, Island of Cannibals, into the film.
Yeah, it's a documentary about cannibalism.
I fucking knew it. But I was like, listen, I made some very underground films before. All right, I would love to make some again. And I don't mind using the occasional stock footage. Okay? But boy, these people love their stock footage on this fucking movie. Holy shit. I mean, like every other... how much money did they have? All right.
Well, apparently none.
Apparently, all they had money was for Party City makeup and the two-faced zombies that look cool, and all those buttons on that factory. They look kind of expensive.
Yeah, which they probably just shot that in a factory they found on an off day. But like, I would like to go back through it and like measure how much of what percentage of this 90-minute movie is stock footage. I'm going to guess about at least 30% of it is stock footage.
Yeah, I would say about that. Yeah, 30. Yeah, it's like a big chunk of it. Like the big chunk in the middle was like all stock footage, and then they just had random stock footage of like birds flying, which like
different kinds of birds and bats and elephants, and to show that they're in New Guinea. Although I'm not sure there are elephants in New Guinea, but there might be.
So this part's pretty interesting too. So parts of the film were reshot. All right.
Really?
Yes. Let me bring it upstairs. So yeah, parts of they're kind of reshot and improvised on set. So such as characters entering the room. Initially, Gene Kelly in his film Sliding in the Rain. All right.
Oh no, yeah. So that scene where he's so it's weird to me because to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is like from Clockwork Orange. But Clockwork Orange got that from Singing in the Rain.
Yes.
So when he puts on the top hat and he kind of does the little Gene Kelly thing. Yeah. That was completely improvised on the set.
Yes. And then I noticed right away that the Eagle Clan or mercenary group, the soldiers in blue, they were very, very similar to Clockwork Orange, like the way they looked and dressed and act. Remember when he had like his little gang and they were walking out with their white and their top hats and everything like that? Like the gang is very similar to how they modeled this gang being. I noticed that right away. To me, I noticed that because just the way they looked. That was just my opinion. I mean, that I don't know if they stole that from A Clockwork Orange, but the way that the gang, when you first see them, of how they were acting and walking and moving around was very similar to the gang in The Clockwork Orange.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, to me, I just can't get past the fact that they're wearing like blue uniforms that look just like the Dawn of the Dead uniforms.
Yes.
And it was almost just like we need to make our military guys look like those guys.
So obviously the best part about this movie is that we have Goblin. They're back. All right.
Well, kind of.
All right. Yes. But it was mostly taken from other film scores.
Yes.
So, it was taken mostly from Dawn of the Dead and Contamination.
Yeah, right. Which we'll also be doing on the show eventually. But yeah, Goblin was too expensive at the time for them to afford to hire them to write a score. So they took a lot of this music was from the Italian version of Dawn of the Dead. Played over and over and over again, like that dun 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 dun. That's from Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And then some of it was from Roller, which is a non-soundtrack album that Goblin did. But yeah, so it does have a Goblin soundtrack, but it was all taken from other previously released music. But it still sounded good, though. It was still Goblin, so I was still happy watching it.
Yes. Yeah, it's just very interesting when you could see like the obvious score from Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
It was like,
in the zombie movie.
In this one. Like, because, the original score, I think we only heard it in that movie, Dawn of the Dead, and the original Zombie. But it's funny that he actually, like, bought the rights to the certain songs and placed it in his movie. So I thought that was funny.
Right.
Let's see. A couple of things over here. So we talked about it being released in Spain and in Italy. Around the dates in there. And we talked about the different movie titles on there. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, this might be about all the stuff I got for it. You got anything else about the background of this movie?
No, not really. It was used. Some people may have seen this more recently. About an hour of footage from this movie was used in 2020 for a movie called Corona Zombies.
Oh, yes.
Which was so they used footage from this and redubbed it to be about like the coronavirus in 2020.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so the Corona Zombies was discovered upon release to be largely created by taking footage of Hell of the Living Dead and just dubbing over the original film with new American English dialogue. Changing the story from a chemical factory incident to a story set in a Chinese bat soap factory. Right? Where unsanitary conditions involving disease vermin eaten by human beings led to an outbreak of the K-19. I don't want to be censored by saying, you know what. So the Corona Zombies was largely panned by criticism, but Stuart something, The Guardian, saying, in truth, it barely qualifies as a film. It's only an hour long. You can only watch it by subscribing to the Full Moon Features streaming service. So, very interesting. Like, I forgot about that title. So basically, they took this movie and just redubbed it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I kind of want to see it.
They just redubbed footage from it. So they used it as like stock footage, basically.
Well, did they use the African Glen stock footage too?
Well, probably.
Interesting. So we're using stock footage as stock footage. Very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. All right. I kind of want to see that though, like just to see like goofiness of more crazy dubbing. But let's get into it, though, because we have a lot to talk about when it actually comes to the actual film, because there's a lot of interesting dialogue when it comes to this particular Hell of the Living Dead, a.k.a. virus. Let's get into it.
The whole village is contaminated. There have been many deaths. Now they're celebrating the funerals.
Bodies have to be cremated.
Wish to God I knew what's happening here.
I insist that the most serious situation we have to deal with is cremating the bodies. Cut it out! Stop wasting your damn bullets, you jerks! You need to hit their heads! I told you! See? Like this! Get away! Beat it! Clear out! Goddamn rotten ghouls! Look out! What's wrong, huh? You disappointed? Sorry, boys, I'm not on the menu after all. Don't let it worry you. I think you will all meet again. In hell! Huh? Hurry up, get going. Here they come. What's wrong with this? Who's over there? What happened? I heard some funny noises in the back there.
Hurry. Riga, check the coordinates.
Bastard! No!
Experimental project Operation Sweet Death must be considered a complete failure.
All these high-powered installations, like a factory from a future world, safely hidden.
You're all doomed to a horrible death. Doomed to be eaten up. First they'll kill you.
All right, so we start off the film with obviously some Goblin music playing, and we see a creepy shot of a factory that is supposedly in New Guinea. All right. And we get inside this factory and we see a bunch of Hope workers. All right. Because they had Hope on their hats and on their jackets. Testing
the
out.
factory is called Hope Center Number 1.
Yes, Hope Center Number 1. And they were hoping that all their readings were going to be okay. So they were getting mainly all normal readings. Okay?
Mainly.
Until we go down to the leakage center. Okay? And we have these two check...
Leakage center.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it is. They're like, oh, we're here to check for leaks.
You're right.
So what the hell are you going to call it? The leakage center. Okay? So we had these two dudes in like these full, sterilized outfits and shit.
Yeah.
Right? They're going around checking to make sure there's no leaks. And the guy's reading out this checklist. And I know shit. He says, oh, man, I'm glad I don't have to be a chemist to work here. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're dealing with deadly gas and toxins and shit. You don't have to be a chemist? And how the hell did you get hired? Craigslist? What the hell's going on here? Okay.
Well, this is the scene where they're talking about the girl that works there, right?
Maybe. Oh,
they're like walking along, and he says like, and it just reminded of like me and you talking about girls. Like he says like, one of them says she may not know much about chemistry, but her reactions in bed are terrific, or something like that.
Ah, okay. I must have missed that part. Damn, how did I miss that? I even watched it twice. But yes, that sounds about right.
But yeah, so they're looking for leaks.
Yeah. So they found a leak, and they find a dead rat. They're like, well, how the hell did a rat get in here? This is the most sterilized place in the whole building.
Right.
I was like, apparently not, asshole. So the rat gets into the guy's suit and starts killing his ass. That's the one pissed off rat.
Yeah. So this was fantastic. So you could tell that the special effect they used for this rat being in his suit was basically just his hand inside the suit moving around.
Yeah.
Like you could definitely, like it was definitely his hand up underneath his suit, pushing it back and forth.
Yeah.
Like it was, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? You got to get this movie made, and you don't have any money.
Well, yeah, so I mean, we already used all the budget on.
We already used all the budget on cocaine.
Cocaine, and then we used that, tribal stuff.
We got to make that helmet.
The tribal helmet and mask and paint.
Yeah.
All right, come on, man. So now he falls down. Now we have this gas leak. The other guy's like, oh, this sucks. So now the crew, everybody, the whole place knows that there's this big leak now, and they all need to get it under control, or else they're all gonna die from this one little leak. All right, I was like, well, fuck. So no shit, like this is like my low key favorite part of the movie when they brought this up, and I don't know if this was actually the real, wording for this project's name. But if it is, it's perfect. So the professor calls up, and now he's like calling. I guess he sounds like he was calling somebody, but he also is getting recorded too, because we hear a recording of the same thing. So the chief inspector guy is saying, yes, this is from Hope Center 1, and our project, Sweet Death, is a failure. Awesome. And I was like, how the fuck is Sweet Death a failure? That fucking dude got murdered by a deadly toxic rat, and he fell on a bunch of fucking... It seems
like it's working the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. It seems like it, He got killed by like a deadly intoxicated meth rat, all right? And he falls on some deadly gas that's going to kill the world. What's more sweeter than that kind of death? What?
Yeah, exactly. Also, Sweet Death would be a great name for a metal band.
Exactly. Sweet Death. I was like, well, how was it a failure? Seems like it's working good to me.
That's the thing. It's like, it would be like one thing that's often missing out of these zombie movies that come out of chemicals and things is they don't really explain what they were trying to do. Like if this failed and now it kills everybody, but it's called Sweet Death.
Yeah.
Like, what were their intentions? Like, what was it supposed to do? Not kill people?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, we find out kind of what it is at the end by our girl.
That's true.
Leah or whatever. But wait till we get there. So now, so basically they go, I like that too, this professor is so worried that he goes down to the deadly gas chamber, but he forgets his mask. And so some sort of lackey's like, hey, you forgot your mask.
Too late.
So they go down there, and then this is when we see a Party City zombie.
We do.
Attack him. And listen, I know it's the 80s and 70s and shit. And I know on Dawn of the Dead, we just plastered some paint on them. But I was like, fuck, bro. I mean, come on. We're just putting some paint on them.
Basically their faces are just painted for the most part. And that's how you know they're zombies, because their faces are painted.
But like I said, this movie did do the painted up faces, but they also did the two-face zombie where they would do like at least half of them were dead. Like a little later. So I'll give them that. So then we see all the other crew is now turning into Party City zombies, and they start eating some dead guy on the floor, and then the professor freaks out, and we kind of never see him again. And we do see a Hope 18 file, by the way. So, and of course, you know, he gives Colin in his tape, he says his experiment, sweet death is a failure. And I was like, fuck, no, it's not. No. Everybody seems like they're dying pretty sweetly.
Yeah.
So
sweetly.
Yes. So, and then he's also saying that we have released a deadly gas onto the world now. So now we have our next scene. We see all these police outside a supposed terrorist group holding up some high-ranking monarchy guys. All right.
They're in the U.S. Embassy in Spain.
Yes.
In Barcelona.
Yeah, we have a terrorist group holding them up.
Yeah, they're like eco-terrorists. They're trying to shut down the Hope Centers.
Yes. Yeah,
they make zombies.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't tell everybody what they're trying to do. They're just like, we're gonna kidnap these guys and force them to close down facilities, even though all these specialized cops are gonna kill us. All right, so we have a lot of scenes of the news reporter asking questions, asking what kind of terrorists these are. We see all these, cops come around here. This is when we finally meet the Eagle. I called them the Eagle Clan. All right.
Okay.
They're all the guys in blue. You know, they're kind of like
Yeah.
I don't think they're cops, but they're kind of like a missionary group, right? Like a
missionary group.
What do you call them? You know, like you pay these groups, and they'll help you like kill people. Mercenary group.
No, they I think these guys work for like the United Nations or something.
Okay. And
they're like or like Interpol or something like that, and they're hired. They're like a SWAT team kind of.
Yeah.
So they're going in there. They're hired to go in there. They're brought there to go in and take care of the terrorists. Although for some reason there's only 4 of them. But
that's all they need, brother. They're highly trained. All right. So basically, this group is, you know, I don't think I'm getting ahead of this, but this group was hired by the Hope group, or whoever's behind the Hope hired this group to kill these terrorists inside.
Yeah.
The monarchy's place, and then they're also talking about after this they're going to be going to some island, and they're going to hope that there's some hot naked girls on this island. And then they make a joke about their balls.
Yes.
Okay. So now we see. This is when we see the group. Two of the groups. Like we have 2 of the groups go easily inside the building, and we have 2 of the group go on the roof. And this is the part that reminded me a lot of Clockwork Orange, just the way they were moving and how they look. Especially what's his name? Zantoro. He looked a lot like the main character from Michael McDowell. He looked like his character from Clockwork Orange a lot with the hairstyle.
That's true, but it's also similar to the scene at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead where they're attacking the apartment building with the zombies in it. In a way. So
we have 2 of the cops kill this guy with the mustache. Kind of looked like a fake mustache, but I guess it was real. Mm-hmm. They kill him. We see this. We see a couple news stations, talk about what's happening, say that they have these guys cornered, and like you were saying earlier, this group was basically trying to shut down the Hope Centers. Okay, it was kind of forcing them to do that, but then they start pushing in some tear gas into the place, and eventually the Eagle group breaks in, shoots the main leader, who is like in a green jacket. and the guy in the green jacket says, you know, you're all going to be, it doesn't matter this anyway, you're all going to be dead and eaten. You're all going to be eaten by your friends, your family, your brothers, your sisters. They're all going to eat you, and you're all going to die a horrible death that way. And they all look at him like...
they're not wrong.
Yeah, they're not wrong. And they're all looking at him like, whatever. We're going to an island. It's all good. So now, we actually go on to the island. Now we're in the island. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to the island because they think the terrorists have also taken over the Hope Center. Yes. So they're going to send. So they're sending 4 guys to New Guinea to take care of all the terrorists that have taken over the Hope Center.
Exactly. And during this, we have I guess it was like this. It was a family and these 2 other reporters. I guess they were doing a scouting documentary research, in New Guinea, about all the experiments that's been going on over here. And this is when we meet the husband, who's really mad at the wife for bringing their child along, their 7-year-old child, because he got bitten by somebody or something, and he's like really sick right now. So they want to go find water, and like I said, the husband's like super pissed off at at his wife, which I believe the wife's name was Joyce. All right. And this is when Max is the guy who had like the long hippie hair and the stash. You know what I mean?
Yes.
With the camera.
He's the, he's the cameraman.
It's the cameraman. And Leah, she is like the our main heroine girl. She is the main reporter, and she is the one who's learned how to mingle with the tribe folk.
Well, later on, she claims to be an expert.
Yeah,
kind of.
There you go, man. So they're going out there.
She knows how to communicate with the locals.
Yeah, the locals, brother. It's kind of like when you go down to the local bar. You know what I mean? And you drink a couple beers with the locals. You fit right in. She did that, but like she just got naked and put some paint on her.
Yeah, apparently, communicating with the locals involves getting naked. Yes. We'll get there.
So Joyce, she goes out, the blonde, the mom. She goes out. She needs some fresh air. The dad's still all pissed off, and now he's taking care of the sick son. So we have and then Max and Leah, they're trying to go and find some water. All right. So Joyce finally finds her dad out of nowhere on a chair, and she turns around, and now her dad is this is the first time we actually see a well-placed zombie. I called them the two-faced zombies because they had one side was Party City and one side was like money. You know what I mean? Because they had like the decay. It kind of looked like it looked like Two-Face. It had like one side was like they'll paint it up, and one side was all burnt off. So the dad starts attacking Joyce out there, and then at the same time, the kid, he is now turned into a zombie and starts eating his dad. All right. And then at this time, Matt and Leah, they're out there in the water, talking about water, and he's like filming her and stuff to try to get some good angles. And they're about to drink the water until a dead zombie body washes up, and they get all freaked out. And then they basically get surrounded in the forest or the jungle by a bunch of zombies, and they can't really tell what they are. So our boy Max is like, well, maybe they're just drunk. Ah, yes. The good old...
I'm sure that's it.
The good old zombies are just drunk angle. I like it. So eventually they start, walking around. And this is when we also see the scene that actually happened next was we have the Eagle crew. They're in the jungle as well too, out there. And they are waiting for their orders of what to do next, but the orders have not been, placed. Like they don't know what to do. They're stuck in the island, and they see a bunch of dead bodies everywhere, like dead bones and stuff. And they keep joking about this is all the hot women that they were promised. So.
Yeah, that was pretty dark. I thought I like that. Yes. Where he's talking about looking the skull of that girl or whatever, and like, these are the hot girls that we knew were going to be here.
It's like, look at her. I like my girl a little more meaty. Ha ha ha. Gotcha. So they're driving off, and they this is when we actually have the two meet. So the Eagle Clan meets up with Matt and Leah, and they just like, because the Eagle Clan was watching them kind of for a distance, and they didn't know who each other was, so they just walked up to them, and then the Matt and Leah were like, hey, these crazy things are from us, they're following us and stuff around here, and they're acting crazy. And this is when we see that Max opens up the car door that they were in earlier, and they can see that the kid is now eating the dad, and they all start looking at it, and they get really sick, like, oh, what the fuck. And then they start shooting the different zombies, all right, and they notice that a lot of them are not falling down until Zentro, all right, shoots one in the head, and now he figures out how to kill him. And apparently he's the only one that like figures this out throughout the whole movie, how they kill these zombies. And this is when the Leah, she's looking for Josie, her friend, and when she walks into that room, somehow Josie's body has now been bloodied and stripped and thrown up on the ceiling and hanging from the ceiling somehow, even though what did it was a dead zombie that just wants to eat her. Mm-hmm. So does this zombie have the same powers as the Pamela Voorhees from Friday the 13th, where she can throw human bodies on a tree?
I think the zombies have super strength. Like once you become a zombie, you become stronger than you were as a human being. So they're like, why she's throwing this body up on the ceiling, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, maybe she tripped.
Okay. Man just flew up there. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah. So after they shoot all the zombies and stuff, they're like, they all meet each other, and they introduce each other. Matt, this is when we found out that Max and Aaliyah, they're reporters. They're doing a documentary of this place. And the Eagle crew said
she's trying to. She's investigating attacks on locals.
Yes,
they're being attacked for some reason, and it turns out to be zombies, but she doesn't know that at the time.
Yes. So when they're doing all this, now they have to figure out how to get to the mainland. Okay, but Leah has an idea, saying, "Yes, I have actually been here with the locals for about 2 years, so I know how to communicate with them."
So hold on. So how do they even get there? Like how do they even get to New Guinea? Like they don't. Like all of a sudden they're killing all those terrorists, and then the next scene they're in New Guinea.
Well, yeah, they said they were going there. It was like the next day.
I know they said that. Did they fly themselves? If they did,
they probably have some magic helicopter or plane.
If they did, they have a plane.
Yes.
If somebody dropped them off, did they just drop them off and then fly away?
They probably did.
I don't know. It's so confusing.
They parachute in.
How they got there. That from okay. All right, fine. Yeah. They parachute in.
You know what I mean?
That's why.
Yeah,
that's why they can't escape.
Yeah, they can't escape. Yeah. Well, they don't. The problem is they don't have their orders yet.
You know
what I mean?
Right.
They get those orders to make that money
to them before they left. I don't know.
Anyway, let's get to the most important part. Leah now gets topless. I'm like, oh, okay. What's going on over here? I like it.
But the way this is portrayed in the movie is just fucking wild. Because she tells them to stay behind me.
Yeah.
And don't get too close. I've learned how to communicate with the locals.
Yeah.
And then she takes off her clothes. And I'm like, okay, fine.
First of all, Alison,
I'm listening.
I have communicated with a lot of locals in my past, and the first thing you do is get naked.
Okay. That's fair enough.
All right.
So she takes off all of her clothes, and then she paints herself in what I assume is native body paint.
Yeah, tribal body paint, brother.
Tribal body paint, exactly.
And I was at this moment where I'm like, oh yes, we brought back the voodoo angle of how this virus was created, kind of. So this is when we get. Stock footage after stock footage of voodoo. I put my notes is like stock footage of voodoo, voodoo magic everywhere.
Yeah, it's just like several minutes of weird
Well, her just walking and like smiling
about cannibals.
Like she was literally just walking, smiling while watching all this like voodoo magic going on. It was crazy.
But the thing though is like she's walking before she gets to the local village or whatever. She's like walking down this road, I guess. But like she tells them to stay far behind her, but they're like right behind her in two Jeeps with machine guns.
Well,
and I'm like, I don't think that's what she meant.
Well, she did say, "Hey, stop here. Meet me in an hour."
Right? That's true. You're right. She does say
I'm gonna
does say, "Stop here and I'll meet me in an hour."
Now, was her plan to get the locals on her side? Like, I'm not really. Okay.
My understanding is that she wanted to, in the storyline, she wants to get the locals to side with her. Yes, the storyline of the movie. I know it's very thin, but there is a story. And she wants to get the locals to side with her to help them against this what turns out to be a zombie outbreak.
All right, let's talk about my favorite scene.
Okay.
So she's walking through the voodoo magic, right? The cannibal zombies that are not eating her for some reason. Maybe I have no idea why. Maybe her paint was good enough for all these cannibal voodoo tribalist. Okay,
that's exactly.
It's like we will not eat this legendary painted up white girl. All right, so she like walks right, and like she stops for a second, and she's like looking around, and then she like looks at like these like voodoo dancers with like these like really cool like tribal looking helmets.
Yeah.
All right.
From stock footage,
right?
Yeah.
And like you could tell, like even in the stock footage, like those helmets are really detailed. Like the way they actually put the detail in these like stone, they kind of look like stone head like helmets, like some big ass stone made helmets with very fine detail in them, right? And they're like doing this like ritual dance and stuff, like coming up to her, and then we cut, and then we see like this fucking like tall like dude in like Party City blue paint, all right, walk up to her and like this like random like fan made stone helmet that doesn't look anything like the one we just saw, like this four or five like tribal dancers do. And then he puts this helmet on. He's like the only guy with the beard there, okay? And when he takes the helmet off and he puts it on her,
yes.
And I was just like, what the hell?
So it looks like they spent about $3 making this prop.
It looked like it was made out of paper mache, basically.
It probably was made out of paper mache. But yeah, so they're showing you footage of, I believe, are something called the Asaro Mudmen. I did a little bit of research on New Guinea while I was watching this, and they do have like helmets that are, I guess helmets is what I would call it. Masks, I guess, is but it's a mask that covers your whole head. And they do look like that. I'll send you a picture of it. I'll text it over to you so you can take a look at it. But yeah, these are the really ornate,
that's what it is.
Almost stone-like picture or a helmet that they're wearing, and then like basically it looks like they just made something kind of like that out of paper mache and said, "Here you go. This is our prop."
Yeah, I mean, come on, you couldn't even borrow one from him. Like, hey man, can I just borrow that for a couple minutes? Come on, dog.
Well, they were in Spain. Remember, they never went to New Guinea.
I just thought that part was so funny. So now we have the Eagle group saying, "Oh man, she's been there for an hour, and the drums have changed. So let's get out. Let's get in there." So they just like walk in, and they just start like having fun with the tribal people.
They do.
So what was the point of her going in alone?
Because they thought that the tribal people would turn on them because they're cannibals. But apparently they're just friendly people.
Yeah, these are just friends. Well, I guess what happened... Okay, I get it. So Leia, when she went in there with her tribal titties and makeup, they were so shocked that she would show up there looking like that. They're like, okay, I want to put a helmet on this girl. And you're cool with us, so you could bring all your friends along, and that's okay. So now,
Yeah.
all the friends there's more. There's like so many voodoo stuff going on, and it was almost like hard to like capture everything. There's so many stock footage that they used at this particular point. But the biggest thing is we could see that a lot of these the tribals are in here. They're starting to turn into zombies. All right, and we have we have a couple of reactionary shots. Like I think one of the tribal people is eating like mud, and this other guy threw up. And then this is when we have Lila. She is talking with one of the Eagle. I called them the Eagle Scouts. I believe it was
Eagle
Vincent.
Scouts.
I believe it was Vincent, and they were just talking a little bit about why all these, why is all these, I think they're saying like this condition right now. They don't know why they're like killing and eating each other. Okay, and then why this is happening with them. And then while they're talking about this, a lot of zombies start appearing everywhere. All right, so we have a zombie coming down from like this throne-looking statue thing, and he starts attacking some people in the village. And then the Vincent guy gets attacked a little bit too by a bunch of different tribal zombies. And basically in this scene, we just see a whole bunch of tribal zombies like attack each other, like they're trying to bite each other. Now we have the Eagle Scouts out there shooting, a couple of them too. And this is basically like the really big melee scene where they're eating like bones, they're eating like all kinds of body parts and everything. We're just seeing all kinds of like mayhem going on during this scene. And pretty much everybody at this point out of our main cast, like all the Eagle Scouts, Max and Leah, they all get out safely at this time. But there was a couple close encounters there, but they all got out. So now they're all driving in two separate vehicles, and they're not sure what's going on here. And then we can see that the chief is telling Vincent, like, I don't trust her. I think she might realize what we are doing here. And I was thinking, I don't even know what you're doing here. How the fuck is she realizing it? So, and then he can kind of tell that the one of the characters, I believe it was Vincent, was the one that was flirting up to her. He was kind of like, maybe the painted up titties got to him. He was like, okay, I could dig that. They basically need to get like, I guess, a bigger vehicle to fit them all in there. So they go back to where they were to try to get that original car. Or they're trying to get into a van that had all of Max's recordings in there. And like, we know that they've been here for 2 years. All right. And he has like a bunch of recordings of the, all around this place. And the Eagle Scouts are basically trying to ditch all his footage and jam everybody in the car so they can go off to find how to get out of there.
Wait, Max and Leah have been there for 2 years?
Yeah, remember she said that I've been with these locals for 2 years, so I know how to deal with them.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, all right.
So they've been in that fucking place for 2 years. Yeah, how do you think she got the whole painting of the nipples correctly, man? That takes a while.
Well, that does take, you're right, that does take a while.
I mean, come on, man. Yeah, Max over there is like, yeah, man, fuck. I've been shooting here for 2 years. And they start fighting with each other until Leah, she pulls a gun on them. And she's all acting like, yeah, you all think I'm like some sort of weak chick. I tried to have some guy rape me before, and I shot his ass. I was like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, okay, that was a random story to tell somebody, but all right.
And so now she's like, she's, not trusting them anything. And then eventually they outgun her because, they're mercenaries. They know how to, they've had guns pulled on them before. And this is when we have the Zontro. He kind of like plays around with them a little bit, pretends like he was going to shoot him, but he didn't. So now we're at nighttime, and Leah's now talking to Vincent, and we could tell that he wanted to talk to her and stuff, and kind of like break the ice and be like, we're sorry all this is happening. We're going to get out of this, together, because he doesn't want to like, obviously he likes her, so he wants to like, make sure there's not like any tension between them all. If they all can just work together. But then the captain comes down there and punches them, saying you're supposed to be on watch. And then the captain's like, I got to keep my eye on you too. So we see all this like tension between the Eagle Scouts and Leah and Max, but it doesn't really like kind of go anywhere.
No.
So.
Well, pretty soon it won't matter anyway.
Yes.
But yeah.
So, per my notes, we have more stock footage of the jungle.
Yep. More elephants and bats and cranes and things.
All kind of shit, man. You know what I mean? Just go out there and just fucking just plaster it in there. So, I get what they're... So, we talk about stock footage of the animals, but basically what they're trying to show is that the deadly toxic in the air is causing all the creatures, all the humans, everything that go a little crazy. But it doesn't show any of the bugs going crazy. Because, bugs are immune to everything. Apparently.
Yeah. Apparently.
So now the chief, of the Eagle Scouts, he is, him and Xantro, how do I say his name right? Was it Xantro?
I think it's Xantoro.
Fucking, I'm just going to call him Zan, okay?
Okay.
So Chief and Zan, they're out there and they are going to they're walking, they're going to try to find some water and some supplies basically. So they're walking down this path and they could see that there's a bunch of blood and there's a bunch of dead body parts all over. So they're trying to go find the water, but before they can get there, all right, they see a bunch of dead zombies in the trees. And they're like, oh, fuck this. So they get on out of there. All right. So their plan basically failed. All right. And this is another favorite part. Zan was like, there's a whole club of them behind us. And there's like 6 of them.
That's what we could afford, brother.
Like, when I think of
we
club,
6 extras.
When I think of club, I was like, okay, maybe at the least 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no,
there's like 6.
According to Zan, it's like there's 6.
Good.
There's 6 zombies. Yeah. That's a club of them. They're gonna come get us. So they all start shooting them, right? But like no, okay. So Zan already told everybody how to kill these motherfuckers in the head.
Right, they gotta shoot him in the head.
And then everybody just didn't listen to his ass, and they keep shooting him in the body. And Zan's like, well, no, you guys are doing it wrong. Only I can kill him correctly. I'm like, wait, what? So now he goes. This is a weird scene too. So he goes over there and he like taunts the zombies. Like, oh yeah, you guys want to eat me? Which is always
a good idea.
Do you want a wing? Do you want a breast? Do you want a what? Do you want a leg? What? Do you want my chin? What? You want my eyeball? What? Like I was like, okay, and like he just gets out of there scot free. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he like goes through the zombies, goes around them, past them, everything, says hi, shakes one of them's hand, shoots him in the head, and everybody's just looking at him. And like,
I was gonna say, like part of it, he's standing like right in the middle of all of them, and they don't kill him.
They don't do anything. And then everybody's like, well, okay, we're leaving. And then like we get his cut, and then he's just with the group. I was like, well, how the fuck did he get out of there? Did he like run back to him? Very odd. Very odd. Okay, so now they're all driving, right? And they're all listening to the radio. And we do cut back forth a little bit. So on the radio, basically they're saying there's nothing to worry about. These are all just kind of like rumors and stuff. And we see like a random shot of like the United Nations. Oh, this part was really weird too. So we see like this random shot of the United Nations that was half empty, and then like there was like just people there yelling at each other. All right.
Yeah. So this is all stock footage, right?
I have no idea. Okay, I think half of it
I
was.
couldn't tell,
but then they have like
I think
this
at
like
least some of it is.
So, okay, so basically what's going on in this scene is we have all this like United Nations people yelling at each other. And it looks like we have like the emperors or something from New Guinea, and like these other places all yelling, saying, "You all came here to do your experiments, and now you unleashed like this deadly gas, and now all my people are eating each other, all right? And you are making them look like they're savages out there just eating each other, and that's all they do. And it's all your fault for making it happen.
Right. So that part I think is not stock footage, and that guy looks like he's speaking English. So I'm wondering if this was a reshot scene. But yeah, so the ambassador from New Guinea is saying that the Hope Center caused all these people to turn into zombies, and that's why they're attacking each other. But the media and everybody else in the world is making it seem like they're just cannibals and killing each other.
Yes. And
that's why they can't get any help. And then it switches to a scene that's clearly stock footage where they've overdubbed a guy talking about zombies.
Yes.
That's supposed to be from New Guinea, but it was probably from that documentary somehow. But yeah, so that's what he's saying is like they won't tell the world about this experiment, and they're just basically telling them that all these people in New Guinea are cannibals, and that's why they're killing each other.
Yes, exactly. That's the gist of it. But this guy was just ranting on and on and on.
Yeah.
So now we have the Eagle Scout group and Max and Leah. They're walking through the forest, right?
Mm.
And now they found a house to go into. Okay. And they want to research this house. So they tell one of their guys, Osborne, to go into the cellar. And we're going to have a couple of people check upstairs. And then we're going to have another group check downstairs as well, too. And then, of course, Xantro, he goes up and he's checking the rest. So they're looking all over the house. We see Osborne. He randomly puts on a dress and a hat.
Yes.
Because, character building.
Right.
So this
is the improvised scene.
Yes. So the chief, he goes into this scene too. The chief goes into a room with an old lady sitting in a rocking chair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have Max, which I was calling him Stash the whole time. I thought that was funny on my notes because he had a big mustache.
Yeah.
So porn stash. Yes. Well, it makes sense. He had the camera. You know what I mean? Okay. Mm-hmm. Him and Zan, they're all out there. They don't like each other. They're all looking around. And then next thing we know, we have all these there's a random old lady. There was all these just random zombie people that started to attack Osborne and kill his ass.
Mm-hmm.
They just came out of nowhere. I thought that part was pretty cool because at first you see some old lady. Well, you can't see me, but I'm doing quotation marks. You could see an old lady zombie, which basically just an old lady with some paint on her face. Okay.
Yeah.
And then all these other zombies just attack her and they start eating Osborne. Okay. And at the same time, the other old lady who was in a rocking chair starts attacking the chief. And I thought the old lady in the rocking chair was kind of cool because she had a dead cat in her.
Yes.
Running around. But that was interesting.
That was awesome.
So they all hear this commotion to go try to see Osborne, and they see he get eaten up by all these zombies. So they start shooting him a little bit, and then they run back upstairs. This is Max, Leah, and Zan. And I thought this part was kind of funny. So they go into this room, and they're like, "It's a family of zombies." And it basically looks like a family that you just find fucking the Brady Bunch, and they just put paint in their face and they start walking towards them, and they just kill them super easy. I was like, okay,
fantastic.
So and then at this particular time, the chief has overpowered the granny zombie, and he ends up shooting her in the head, even though he didn't want to. Okay.
Yeah.
So all this shit was random
because she's an old lady.
Yeah.
Right.
It was basically just showing that. Okay, by the way, though, what is this American family doing in New Guinea next to the tribal cannibalism in indigenous people?
I don't know. Maybe they're there, trying to bring them Bibles or something. I don't know.
Oh shit! You know what? That makes sense. You know what I mean? They're one of them. What do you call those guys? Mission, where they go out there and they sell you the Bible. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. How all these dumbass white people travel all over the country to try to, give Bibles to people who don't want them, and then they get eaten and shit.
Yeah, and yep, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, there's a whole clan of them, and they turn into zombies. Can you believe that?
Yes, they do.
All right, so now everybody gets out of there now. All right, and they let's see. So this is like a recurring joke, I think. So the chief gets, Vincent and the remaining crew to get into the car and drive off while they leave Zan behind to taunt zombies with fire.
Yeah. So it's the same thing that happened earlier, basically.
Apparently, Zan and the crew is like, okay, we need a pawn. Who can we? Oh, we'll just use Zan. He'll be fine. So they send his ass out there because he's the only one that knows how to fight zombies for some reason.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense if you think about it. He's the only one that knows how to handle the zombies, so they just let him distract them.
But what does he do that's so special? He shoots him in the head and he yells at him.
Essentially, yes. He's too quick.
So he fights them in fire. I think he maybe lights one of them on fire. That's how much we had the budget for. And then they all leave, right? And they all get into the car. And then they just wait for Zan to be done, and he gets in the car and they just leave. Oh, that's easy.
Exactly. You would wonder why they don't just get in the car and drive away, but whatever.
So they're driving some more. And this is when we get more stock footage of foxes. We get the fox and the rat eating each other. Mm-hmm. All right, we have more.
Because they're zombies, not because foxes eat rats.
Yeah, they're zombies. No, come on now. They don't naturally do that. Okay.
No, that would never happen.
We got more stock footage. Apparently, it wasn't flamingos, even though I thought it was. All right. And so now their plan is to go to the boat. They found they have this. I guess this is the boat that somebody used. I guess it's the mercenary team. So they get to the boat and they're basically saying okay, everybody grab what they need and it's every man for himself now. I was like, why don't you just stick to it as a team? Why is it gotta be every man for himself? Uh-huh. And they all
I didn't remember that.
They all get on the boat.
Actually said that?
Yeah. The thing is, with the dubbing, they would talk really fast and just say shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the boat just happens to be there. That's not their boat. There's a raft they find. They just happen to be ready for them to leave as the zombies are coming down on the beach.
What is it called? The Zodiac boat?
I think that's a brand, but it says Zodiac on the side. So I didn't remember that from the movie. So that confuses me because I thought they were still on their mission because they're trying to go to the Hope Center because remember this whole time they're supposed to be going to the Hope Center because they thought that it was taken over by terrorists. Yeah. And that's why they end up going on this boat. So I thought they were still on their mission, even though one of them's dead now. There's only 3 of them, but
okay, you're correct. That's what the team was gonna do, And basically they before they got on the boat, they kind of decided that they have to bring Leah and Max with them because they can't let them stay there because that's murder, and they can't do murder.
Right? They definitely can't do murder after killing all those eco-terrorists, and they definitely can't.
Well, they weren't hired to kill these photographer people. You know what I mean?
That's true. They weren't. That's true. They were not hired to kill the.
So I think what they thought was if they go to the Hope Center one, that they can overrun the terrorist group that's in there, and then they can get a chopper to get away. But apparently that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
So, but the scene, that's a good plan. But the problem is the dubbing is somebody just say random shit. The problem I have with some of these dubs over these Italian films and foreign films is you can feel like they're adding dialogue where dialogue doesn't need to be. You know what I mean?
I think they do that to match the mouths somewhat.
Well, no, I'm talking about when there's not even mouths on the screen. Sometimes we can see them going into a vehicle and we can hear them talking. We don't have to hear them talking going into a vehicle. Just go into the fucking vehicle.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
So that's when we hear the line, oh, it's every man for themselves. It was probably not a serious line. You know what I mean? It was probably just a guy just saying something to joke or something. But they did say that. So they all get onto the raft boat. And Zan's like, oh yeah, zombies come in here and try to get me now in the water. And you can see some of the zombies get into the water. So this is when we find out that the Hope Center is now linked up with New Guinea. Because we didn't know for sure if it was, but we know for sure it's now. And they basically take forever to get on to the factory island, but we do have some sweet Goblin music playing while they get there.
Yeah, it does take a minute, but yeah, we do get to listen to the Goblin soundtrack while they're traveling in a very long fashion getting there.
Yeah, you gotta take your time, man. You got a sweet song going on.
It's a long ways. It's a long ways to the Hope Center.
So now so basically they get into there and they need to go find the ladder to get them on there. Okay, so the chief is basically telling Max and Zan to go upstairs and go find the control room, basically, so they can see what's going on. So Max and all them, they get inside, they find the door, and then Zan tells Max to go get the crew, and they found the door. So he goes and gets the crew, and then Zan, he hears something. He's like, oh, I hear something. And then the rest of the crew shows up. They're like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, well, I heard something over there. Like, oh. And then out the door pops, and there's a bunch of zombies there, and a bunch of zombies just grab Max and just start eating his ass. So there he goes. And then they're all like, oh, shit, what the fuck? And they're all these motherfuckers look like Party City zombies. It's crazy. Some of them look pretty good, though. It's kind of a mixture. So now, this part was a little weird, too. So now Zan starts freaking out on them, on the zombies. And he starts taunting them.
Again.
But, like, this taunt doesn't work because they actually grab his ass and pull him up the elevator. So I was like...
Yeah, he's out of luck now.
Like, I thought he was, like, the expert. Like, he escaped death twice, but I guess he can't do it 3 times.
No, you can only escape death so many times.
Yeah.
This is the scene where Leah and the other guy are looking up and the blood's dripping on their face.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that scene's awesome. But she's... the thing about it is, like, I understand that, like, Europe, especially in the 70s and the 80s, was a much more sexist, I guess, than the world is now. But, like, a lot of this movie, she's either just screaming or, like, she's standing there and, like, the guy has to pull her away from the blood dripping on her face. Like, she's too stupid to move away from this guy's blood, like, falling on her face.
Well, she was
Which I thought was hilarious.
She was near a bunch of cannibal zombies for 2 years. Maybe she liked the blood on her face.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
You know what I mean? It could happen.
It could happen.
So now Vincent, he got bitten. All right. So now it's basically just down right now to the chief and Leah, and they're trying to find a safe place for Vincent to hide out in. All right. Well, they kind of get him up the stairs, and then Vincent on his own was like, "I'm gonna go hide in here." I was like, "Okay." So now he goes into the room that so happened to be where the chief recorded his famous, the Project Sweet Death was a failure, which I still don't think it is. I mean, it seems like it's pretty cool so far. Right?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
And this is when they hear the recording, and he's basically saying the vapor is spreading everywhere, and it's going to be that's why all the... everybody's acting dead and everything because the vapor is spreading all across the world right now. And now, go ahead.
No, go. No, I was gonna say this is where she says that she kind of explains why she thinks they created this, right?
Well, yeah, like basically after she heard this message, the recording, she kind of goes downstairs in like this very kind of like defeated state. All right.
Yeah.
And this is when she does tell the chief, like, I think I figured everything out now. I figured out the plot. Everybody. Yes. So, and then so she kind of does the plot in like 2 steps. Okay. First, she's like saying, it's like, okay, I figured it out. This is it was a hidden factory on an isolated island. Okay. And I get what they were, trying to say and talk about. All right. And I get why they were telling themselves that why they were hope. All right. And she's basically saying that this organization called Hope would find isolated islands that have like countries or something that haven't been developed properly, and their cover was to do research and see if they can help that community, grow more properly. All right, but the real agenda, kind of like Umbrella, was they were trying to solve the most hardest problem to solve in the world: overpopulation.
Yeah, they were basically trying to get poor and what they would call uncivilized people to eat each other and kill each other.
So, let me ask you a question here, Alison. So, Project Sweet Death, why didn't it work? It seems like everybody's killing each other. What's the problem?
It seemed like it worked. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, unless he means that, we accidentally let it escape and now it's going all over the world.
I guess. Or maybe he's like,
that's the only thing I can think of.
Sweet Death
wasn't... It seems to work.
Maybe he's thinking, Sweet Death wasn't supposed to be for me.
Turned out it's killing all the white people, and that's not what we intended.
Exactly.
So it's a failure.
It's like, wait a minute. Well, I thought it was only supposed to kill them like from savage animals. How is it killing me too?
It was only supposed to kill the black people, but it's killing all the white people now. So it was a failure. This is not how this is supposed to work.
Damn it, Sweet Death.
Not how this was supposed to go. Damn it.
So
fantastic.
I have to know. Like, I would love to know.
What do they think was going to happen if they called it Sweet Death?
Like, I wonder if that was like the original name, like in Italian. It had to be Sweet Death. All right.
Yeah, it's too cool not to be, right?
Yeah.
An American didn't think of that. That was cool. That's cool. Sweet Death. I'm going to call my band Sweet Death.
Yeah. So now, like, the chief guy, he doesn't understand. He's like, what are you saying, bitch? He don't understand at all. Okay. So now.
Yeah, he's literally like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? All right. I'm immune, brother. Okay.
I'm immune.
So he gets attacked. He's not immune. So he starts getting ripped and shit to fucking shreds. And then next thing you know, our main girl, heroine girl, she's now getting attacked by zombies. And we can see that the whole zombie, there's like a shit ton of, like, there's no terrorist group in this Hope Center at all. There's this, every single person in this Hope Center turned into a zombie.
A damn zombie. Yeah.
And it's weird too, because you would see, like, when they're all coming down the stairs, you would see a lot of them in nurse outfits and stuff. And then they like ran out of nurse outfits. So you just see some random dude in like jeans and t-shirts.
Right. Is what he came to the set in.
Yeah. And then
he was like a camera operator.
Exactly. He just walked down there just to fill in the gaps. And then, obviously we could see that, Vincent and Zan, they're one of the zombies crew too. But it's weird because we didn't see Max part of the crew. I guess he was done for shooting after he got killed. But then when all these zombies, they kill the chief, and then they start killing Leah.
Yeah, this is where we get our Italian movie eye gouging scene. I thought we were not going to get it, but we get it right at the end.
And I like the way they did it.
Pop out and they stick her. Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the tongue.
They stick his. Yeah, they stick his hand like in her mouth.
Yeah, I like
and then her face explodes.
Yeah, I like how all the zombies, they would first just go eat the neck, but not her. They're like, okay, we're gonna rip this girl's tongue out. All right.
Yeah.
Make sure she ain't talking that. Talk about Sweet Death not being talking about Sweet Death being a failure. No, it wasn't. We're gonna rip that tongue out.
Yeah, and it looked like the whole face that they made for the special effect was made out of like yogurt.
Whoa! Holy shit! Did you get that active warning?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, everybody in the world gets that. Yeah.
Fuck, bro. Maybe that was the warning they heard. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
When the fucking zombies are attacking in the factory.
Yeah, they get the Amber Alert.
Yeah. Imagine if you had an Amber saying, Sweet Death is a failure. Imagine that, an Amber Alert.
Grab our guns.
That actually kind of worked right there. I like that. I might keep that in.
Yeah, that was so random. Scary, yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
So while the girl Leah, she's getting eaten alive and everything now. Now we cut back to the news station saying, you can't believe everything you hear on the news. All right, that's what they kind of this whole station.
This is amazing because like it's like I mean, I guess maybe things weren't any different back in 1980, but it's like people do that shit now. Like they just watch something, a documented thing, and then they just don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like it's not real. Like, during 2020, the coronavirus is not real. COVID-19 is not real. It's not a real thing. They're just making that up. A million people didn't die. And like this basically happens now. Like there are all these people watching this news footage and are like, oh, that's not real.
Well, hold on a second. Now, we didn't get their names, but the couple or the guy was like, whatever, I don't care. He was trying to get some ass that night, so,
He was. So he was trying to get out of there so he could
so
go fuck
I
that
think
girl,
I think I'll give him a pass, because at least he was trying to do something productive.
Yes.
And he was so horny hearing about this news of death that he just wanted some ass right in the street.
In the park.
In the park, bro. He just right there. Like, he was like, let's go.
Maybe that's a European thing. Maybe that's like a European thing. You just go fucking
go out to the local park and just start fucking?
Yeah, maybe.
So he was trying to get in there. He's like, oh, okay. Well, the girl's like, I don't want to do something. Now let's go home. He's like, which home? Me, mine or yours? I was like, damn, that's a fucking sly line. And then she's like, well, I don't want to give you some sex right now until we're married. Oh, the dreaded line that no man wants to hear. Let's wait till we get married. I gotta try it out before I buy it, girl. That's what I would have said. All right.
You gotta take a test drive.
So now they want to smoke a cigarette. All right, but he don't got no lighter. He's like, okay, let me go ask that drunk dude over there who's sitting by himself in the park. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I'll get you a lighter. It's like, oh no, I'll go over to him. So they go over to the guy sitting by himself in the park. Obviously, we all know he's gonna be a zombie. So she flips him over, and he's one of them two-faced zombies. Half Party City, half Two-Face, basically, with the burnt side.
Yeah.
And he starts attacking her. And then a bunch of other zombies just like jump up on her and start eating her, basically.
And come out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And then our boy is just like staring and saying like, oh shit. And maybe he's thinking like, you know what? Maybe I could find somebody else, or I was going to marry that girl. Why is she getting eaten right now? Like, what was going through his head just like staring at her the whole time?
Like, I'm just like, well, I can't believe what's happening. She's being eaten by zombies.
So
I'm
he's
not
like
even paying attention to the zombies that are walking up behind me.
Exactly. So he's like, okay, maybe I should leave now. And then right when he leaves, that's when he gets eaten.
Yep.
And then we have a bunch of zombies wander off. And that is the end of our story. Hell of the Living Dead.
Yeah. I like this. I really like this movie. I can't really even explain why, but I liked it. I could imagine watching Dawn of the Dead and then immediately watching this right afterwards.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. I mean, they had very, similar vibes. Obviously Dawn of the Dead was more acted properly. But, this one wasn't bad, but I think the voodoo stuff in the middle was kind of getting to me. You know what I mean? Just so random. But I did like true. I respect the randomness of it while it was happening. But very, very interesting movie here. And I did like it where like it did show like there was no like happy ending or nothing. I mean, it's all doom.
No happy ending. Yeah.
Like even like our main characters, like they all died. It was pretty crazy. Speaking of crazy, the Retro Blooded will be back next month for August.
We will.
As we do Zombie Flesh Eating Month Part 2.
Part 2.
That's right.
Sequel. We did it last August, and we're coming back for more zombie movies. We told you we would, and we are.
That's right. Y'all thought this was going to be the only zombie movie you would hear this year.
Hell no. Mm-mm.
Because we're going to be back on here, brother. So I think we called the... we called the last August Dead Things from the Graves. All right?
Yeah.
So this will be Dead Things from the Graves Part 2. Here on the Retro Blood. And we are going to start off this review with one Dead and Buried.
Yes. We want to do this movie since we started the show. We've talked about this movie for 3 years almost.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting it done.
Finally getting it, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It should be pretty fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, it almost made the cut last year, but we did all the zombie movies instead.
Yes. So yeah, this one will be pretty fun because every movie is going to be a little different, and we get to explore more because this is a popular theme for 80s and 90s, even 2000 movies of the zombies. You know what I mean? It's always been a very popular theme. We've even had like zombies in like the later 2000s movies as well. But obviously we had The Walking Dead, which was a huge zombie show too, and like the newest one, which is kind of a zombie film in a way, The Last of Us, even though that's like a little bit more of a diseased type of film, but the same kind of concept to it.
Yes.
So it's very fun talking about this in August. So, because there's a big list of zombie movies in the 80s, and we found 4 other ones I think you all would like. So, but yeah, should be fun. Keeping the zombie. I wonder if they're gonna have some sort of tribal voodoo magic return to any of these ones.
Some of them do, but these are more different kind of zombie movies. Like these are going to be kind of more like different kind of zombie movies. But some of them do have like a tribal-esque feel to them. Sure.
That should be fun. But yeah, everybody, join us here next Sunday for Dead and Buried. Then we'll release the whole schedule for August on that show too, which we actually have we have another movie on that list too that we've been waiting to do for a very long time as well too, and I can't wait to watch that film again. And then I want to get your opinion about the remake on there too. So we'll get all there though. But everybody, check out the Facebook page where we'll be playing a little bit of Metallica. All right, jump in the fire. All right, there's a lot of jumping in the fire for this movie. All right,
absolutely.
I mean, they were just jumping all kinds of fire with this shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Then, of course, if we can find it, we'll play that big angle from the New Year's Golden Series as well, too, for all of y'all. But everybody, check us out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see every time Zentoro is like taunting the zombies, like I could see "Jump in the Fire" playing.
Oh yeah,
instead of the Goblin soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a big Metallica fan. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He looked like one.
You could tell by his hair.
Yeah. Just getting in there, taunting all these zombies until he got his at the end.
Yep.
So, but everybody, check us out on the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and the YouTube page. And I mean,
yes.
I drop all these episodes on YouTube. Of course, you can find us on all the streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbeam, you name them all. You can find them all everywhere. iTunes.
We got it all. We're everywhere.
You know what I mean? Where else is everybody? Spotify, they still do that? Yeah, we're on there too. Like them.
Yeah, we're on Spotify. Yeah.
Subscribe. Give us a liking on there. You know what I mean? Let us know how we're doing. Yeah. If y'all ever have any recommendations for a month you would like us to talk about too, let us know. And of course, check out the archives. This show never grows old, because if you watch a good old 80s horror flick and want to hear 2 rad dudes talk about it, you can always go back into our archives and listen to our thoughts about the particular movie you watched as well too. So
yeah, you could spend this week listening to Zombie Month from last year.
Exactly.
And then it would lead right into Zombie Month from this year.
Exactly. I mean, you can see the origin of voodoo zombies. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, we did a lot of research on that.
And I remember the one where they had like the island, and they just had a random crate of guns and a library.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was
perfect.
Much like a video game where you would just find like a crate of guns, like in Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Easy stuff here. I like it. But check it out, everybody. And me and Alison will be back next week here on the Retro.
See you guys.